It all started in a place you wouldn't necessarily think of as the launch pad for a global supernova, Reading, Pennsylvania. That's where a kid named Taylor Allison Swift decided she was going to be different. While other girls were maybe into pop punk or whatever was on the radio, Taylor was drawn to the stories. She fell hard for country music, for the way folks like Shania Twain and the Dixie Chicks could spin a whole life into a 3-minute song. You gotta understand, this wasn't just a phase, it was a calling. She saw music not just as a bunch of catchy tunes, but as a way to make sense of the world, to bottle up feelings you didn't even have words for. Her family, God bless him, saw that fire in her. When she was just a tween, they started making the trek down to Nashville, the country music capital of the world. She'd walk up and down Music Row, a kid with big curly hair and an even bigger dream, handing out demo CDs of her singing karaoke covers. And you know what? She got a lot of doors shut in her face. Nashville's a tough town, and they'd seen wide-eyed kids with guitars before. But Taylor wasn't just any kid. She had a secret weapon. She was writing her own songs. Real songs. About the drama in the cafeteria, the heartbreak of a summer crush ending, the feeling of not quite fitting in. She was writing the soundtrack to teenage life before she was even out of middle school. Her big break came when she played at the Bluebird Cafe, this legendary songwriter's venue. Usually, it's a room full of industry folks half listening to another hopeful. But when Taylor started singing with this raw, honest conviction, she made him stop and pay attention. A guy named Scott Borchetta was starting his own label, Big Machine Records, and he saw it. He saw the whole package, the songwriting, the look, the undeniable connection she could make with an audience. He signed her. Just like that, the girl from Pennsylvania had a ticket to the big leagues. Her self-titled debut album dropped in 2006. It was country, sure, but there was a pop sensibility bubbling under the surface. The single Tim McGraw was a masterstroke. It wasn't just a love song, it was a memory trigger, a specific detailed story about a relationship anchored by the name of a country music icon. It was smart. It told every girl listening that their stories were worth singing about. She wasn't a distant star. She was the girl you sat next to in homeroom who just happened to have a recording contract. She toured relentlessly, meeting every single fan she could, building a community, one handshake, one hug, one Polaroid picture at a time. This wasn't just a fan base. She was building a nation. And this was only the very, very beginning. Part 2. The Reckoning and the Reinvention. Success in country music was sweet, but Taylor's ambitions were bigger. She dipped her toe in a pop with 2008's Fearless, and it was a tidal wave. That album, with songs like Love Story and You Belong With Me, was the absolute anthem of late 2000s teenagehood. She was winning Grammys, selling out stadiums, and living a fairy tale. But with that level of fame comes a microscope. Every relationship, every outfit, every misstep was analyzed and criticized. The media narrative turned. She went from America's sweetheart to a boy-crazy serial dater in the blink of an eye. It was a classic American build-em-up, tear-em-down story. The peak of the Backlash hit in 2016. During a very public feud with Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, she was framed as a snake, a liar. Her social media was flooded with snake emojis. It was brutal, and it felt like the entire world had turned on her. So what did she do? She disappeared. Completely. For a year, Taylor Swift was a ghost. We later found out she'd fled the country, laying low, and most importantly, she was writing. And she was angry. When she came back, it wasn't with a whisper, it was with a roar. She wiped her social media clean and posted a video of a hissing snake. The first single from her new album, Reputation, was called Look What You Made Me Do. It was dark, synth-heavy, and utterly defiant. The old, nice Taylor was dead. This new Taylor was armored up, ready for war, and taking back her narrative. The Reputation album and tour was a masterpiece of reclamation. She took the snake imagery they used to vilify her and turned it into a symbol of her power and rebirth. It was a giant middle finger to the haters, set to an incredible pop beat. But here's the thing about Taylor. She can't stay in the darkness for long. The next phase, Lover, was a burst of pastel-colored joy and vulnerability. It was an album about finding love away from the spotlight and embracing who you are. It felt like she had weathered the storm and come out the other side, stronger and more in control than ever. But the biggest battles, the ones that truly define an artist's legacy, were still to come. The fight wasn't just about her reputation anymore. It was about her life's work. Part 3, The Poet and the Power. In 2019, the master recordings of her first 6 albums were sold out from under her to a man she called her bully, Scooter Braun. This was a gut punch. For an artist who views her albums as diaries, as chapters of her life, this was like having someone else own your memories. She was devastated, but she's also a strategist. She announced her plan to re-record all of those early albums, calling them Taylor's version. It was a move unprecedented in the music industry, a direct challenge to the corporate machinery that had tried to diminish her. The result was nothing short of a revolution. Fearless, Taylor's version, and Red, Taylor's version, weren't just re-releases, they were cultural events. She gave us the songs we loved, but with the maturity and vocal nuance of the woman she'd become. And the real kicker? She included from the vault tracks, songs written back then but never released. It was like getting a new album alongside the old one. The crown jewel was the 10-minute version of All Too Well, a song fans had whispered about for a decade. Its release was a national holiday for Swifties, complete with a short film. She had taken a business setback and turned it into a triumphant reclamation of her art and her story. This era, from Folklore and Evermore during the pandemic, surprise albums full of indie folk storytelling, to the colossal, record-shattering Eras tour, has cemented her not just as a pop star, but as a foundational pillar of American culture. The Eras tour is more than a concert. It's a 3-plus-hour testament to a lifetime of work, a celebration of every version of herself she's ever been. It's boosting local economies, inspiring a new generation of singers, and creating a community where being too enthusiastic is the whole point. So from a girl with a guitar in Pennsylvania to the most powerful woman in music, Taylor Swift's story is the ultimate American saga. It's about ambition, yes, but it's also about resilience. It's about looking the world in the eye, getting knocked down, and writing a platinum-selling album about it. She taught a generation that your feelings are valid, your stories are valuable, and that in the end, the pen, your own voice, is mightier than any sword or any snake.